Hey friends, Ash here with Gents. Hope that you're doing well. It's first impression time once again, and today we're taking a look at Yves Saint Laurent L'Homme Eau de Parfum. It's amazing to think that with how many different flankers there are in the L'Homme line, that they haven't just made L'Homme Eau de Parfum yet. Because the number of flankers in the L'Homme and La Nuit de L'Homme lines are insane. I got a ton of them back here. It's all blurry looking, but there's a lot. We've got L'Homme Ultime, L'Homme Parfum Intense, L'Homme Le Parfum, but no L'Homme Eau de Parfum till now. So let's go ahead, let's open this up, let's spray this on, and let's see if this is worth it, guys. Let's jump into it. Now, of course, I feel like I need to mention this one, La Nuit de L'Homme Blue Electrique. This came out last year. I love the way this smells. Great reimagining of the original La Nuit de L'Homme. I did a video on this, but apparently it's discontinued. So who knows what the future holds for this one, L'Homme Eau de Parfum. I guess if it's good, get it. If it's not, who cares? Don't worry about it. And I do want to follow up on the discontinuation of Blue Electrique. I think it's possible, maybe I'm just being hopeful, but I think it's possible that they do bring that back at some point. Maybe the reason that it's unavailable is just a really tight squeeze on supply, some extreme supply constraints. And once they figure that out, it'll come back. I don't have any insider information or anything like that. I'm just hopeful that that happens. So just kind of throwing that out there into the ether and hopefully it becomes the thing. All right, let's open up L'Homme Eau de Parfum. Let's check this out. Finished. On the front of the box, you've got the name of the house, name of the fragrance, size, and concentration. Obviously an Eau de Parfum, since that's what this flanker is. You've got the YSL on top of the box, nothing on the side. On the back, you've got your ingredient information. On the bottom, you'll find your batch code. Batch code 38W101R. And I will go ahead and link this one in the description. As of when I'm filming this video, it's only available one place that I saw, so I'll link that down there. And here we've got the bottle. Pretty much the exact same design as the Parfum Intense flanker from years ago. On the front, you have the name of the house, name of the fragrance, has a nice amber coloration to the fragrance itself. You have the YSL on top of the cap, as always. On the bottom, sticker with your badge code, and the cap does click into place. I will say with the YSL L'Homme and La Nuit de L'Homme fragrances, all the flankers that they have, which I alluded to before, you got a lot of fragrances that just get mixed up together. They overlap onto each other. So you have L'Homme Parfum Intense and then L'Homme Eau de Parfum, and when you look at them, pretty much the exact same. A very slight difference in coloration to the fragrances themselves, but not much. And then by that same token, you've got La Nuit de L'Homme Eau de Parfum and La Nuit de L'Homme L'Intense, and when you look at those, they're also really similar. So if you're somebody just getting into fragrances, or maybe you don't know a whole heck of a lot about fragrances, it'd be pretty easy if you were looking online to get these confused. But that's what YSL does. That's what they've been doing for a while. So obviously that's not going to change anytime soon. All right, let's go ahead and spray L'Homme Eau de Parfum on, see how this smells. Truthfully, I'm not expecting too much here, but I'm hopeful. La Nuit de L'Homme Blue Electrique was a big surprise, so maybe this one will be a really nice surprise also. Initial thought, don't really care about it at all. The opening is just not that attention grabbing for me. It's lacking a lot of that pop that you get in the original L'Homme Eau de Toilette. Now, you would expect that to an extent because this is an Eau de Parfum, so they're gonna put it across as a richer fragrance, a deeper fragrance. It's not gonna have as much freshness off the top. But that bitter orange and bergamot, I'm not getting a whole lot of that. Now, this is competently done. Nothing here is sticking out. It doesn't come across like a rough around the edges fragrance or an unfinished fragrance or anything like that. But it is giving me a touch of just kind of blandness where it's gonna fold into all the other L'Homme flankers out there and not really have enough to set it apart to where it becomes a standout. It is warm, it's decently sweet, it does have an ambery kind of characteristic to it. A light, sweet spiciness underneath everything else. Again though, there's no spice in here, there's no amber in here, so that's just what I'm picking up. And when I say there's not any spice or amber, I mean in the official note breakdown. As it stays on my skin, it does seem to be freshening up ever so slightly. So it's taking on some of these aspects from the geranium and the lavender in the mid, and that's actually making it a little bit fresher than it was in the initial blast. I'm gonna go ahead and spray it on one more time over on this side just so I can get that initial blast again, that initial opening, see if it comes across a little bit differently to me. You get a little bit of that bitter orange in the opening. Bergamot, I'm not really getting too much of that. I would guess it's that oak barrel note that's in the base, which is providing some of that spiciness, because oak barrel is not a real note, that's a fantasy note. And so I'm imagining that's imparting a little bit of that ambery feel, perhaps a bit of light boozy type of sweetness. Now, I will say on this side where it stayed on longer as it's drying down, I'm liking it a lot more. It's coming across lightly vanilla instead of ambery now. Kind of like a lightly spiced woodsy vanilla, sort of. Not a ton of vanilla though, just a little smidge, just a little drop. That citrus though, you don't get too much of that. It doesn't play a big role. A little bit of bitter orange in the opening, bergamot, I don't really get it. Like a light nuance kind of leading you into the mid and the dry down. All right, you know what time it is. Gonna go check with the wife, let it dry down, come back and wrap everything up, let you know how it changed, let you know my overall thoughts, and if I think it's something you should check out or not. So be right back, stick with me. I'm back. So the wife, she liked it. I wasn't blown away, but she liked it. So that's something. One of those deals, you know how it is. If you have a significant other, you know, girlfriend or wife, and you ask them to check out your fragrance, hey, how's this smell to you? And they just go, oh, yeah, it's nice. It could be worse, but not really the reaction you're going for. So I sprayed this on yet again a third time. So I've smelled the opening 3 times now. It does have a bit of citrus there. I didn't pick up on it as much the first time, but that's because I kind of was letting it dry down and I was talking to you guys. That citrus dissipates quickly. Minute and a half, 2 minutes, it's gone. So that's why the first time I sprayed it on, I didn't really get too much of that because it had already, you know, burned off my skin. Well, that doesn't sound good. It had already gone off my skin by the time I went to smell it. So you do get a little bit of citrus, but it's gone fast. More bitter orange than bergamot. The bergamot around the edges, the bitter orange, a slight tartness in the open. But really it's overshadowed pretty quickly. You get that lavender and geranium that comes in, adds a tiny touch of freshness, but ultimately it's about this sort of ambery woodiness. And that's the focal point really of the fragrance. Even when you first spray this on, you can smell it creeping up right away, and then it kind of overwhelms everything and becomes the main aspect of the fragrance. Through the mid, there were some parts where it started to smell a little more interesting to me. I referenced that before, that kind of, you know, vanilla tinge of spicy woodiness that it has. I like that, but that does fade away. It doesn't really carry over into the dry down. At least it doesn't carry over as much as I would like it to, I should say. That oak barrel note is probably the most interesting thing to people when they look at the note breakdown. You know, when you think of a designer fragrance, oak barrel, not really the first thing that pops into your mind, so it's fairly unique to see that there. Ultimately, how it smells though is like a little bit of an amber woody scent profile with a tinge of spice and a little tiny splash of boozy sweetness. So through the day, I've been kind of hemming and hawing on this, kind of going back and forth. And ultimately, it's just a fragrance that I don't know that I care that much about. There will be little bits and pieces in the mid and the dry down specifically where I'll smell it and I'll go, ooh, well, that's pretty nice. But then it's fleeting almost. You get that little hit and it smells a little interesting. Maybe there's a little more going on there. And then the next time you smell it, that magic is gone again. So it's just these little fleeting hits where you'll go, ooh, nice. Oh, it's gone. Ooh, nice. Oh, it's gone. What it ultimately ends up being is just kind of a nondescript loam flanker. It does come across to me like one of those ones that's going to get lost in the shuffle, that's not going to really do anything interesting enough to grab on and become one of those staples of the line where people go, ooh, yeah, if you like loam, you got to get that one. That's the one. Instead, it's just one of those flankers where you're going to have some people that come out and say, oh, this is overlooked, this is underrated, and some people are going to love it. But for the most part, people are going to smell it and just go, yeah, it's nice, and then move on to the next. It doesn't have that defining factor where you smell it and you go, that is L'Homme Eau de Parfum. For me, the best part of the fragrance is the mid. I think that has the most potential because you do have that bit of sweetness that comes in and it melts together with that woodiness. You do get that tinge of spiciness and you get that interesting change from the little bit of citrus heading into the lavender and geranium where the sweetness and that tinge of freshness meets with the spiciness and it comes across really well. So if there's one saving grace, one saving part of this fragrance, it's the mid. The dry down, pretty forgettable for me, and the opening as well. Season wise, this comes across to me more of like an early spring or a fall time fragrance. It's a little bit too heavy for summer for most people, I'd say, and it doesn't have quite enough push or punch for winter. Daytime or nighttime scent, I'd say, either one, and it's got a good amount of versatility. As I said at the beginning of the video, nothing here sticks out. It doesn't come across rough. It's very easy to wear. It's just not memorable enough for me personally. If you're a big fan of the L'Homme line though, go ahead and check this one out. Maybe it'll work a little bit better for you than it does for me. For what it's worth, it fits in perfectly with how YSL has done their L'Homme and La Nuit de L'Homme flankers in the past. Just that type of scent that's easy to pull off, but maybe isn't really anything new or exciting. It certainly is pleasant. It's just when you have the amount of stuff that I have and you've smelled the amount of stuff that I have, it's easy for things like this to kind of smell like, you know, I've been there before, I've done that before. Can't really speak to performance because this is the first time that I've worn the fragrance, but it doesn't seem to be all that strong, all things considered. At least projection wise, it seems to kind of lay low pretty early on. Again, I've sprayed this on 3 separate times, and each time I sprayed it on, it was a few different sprays. So, you know, I've got some sprays over here, some sprays over here, some sprays over here and here. You would think that it's gonna be projecting pretty strong off my arms because they've been doused. It's really not. It's sitting pretty low. But again, I've not gotten out on the town or anything wearing this fragrance. I've not been moving around all day with this thing on. You know, with a busy day, I've just been kind of hanging around the house. So maybe the performance is better than it seems right now. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Yves Saint Laurent L'Homme Eau de Parfum. Not terrible smelling fragrance, but not anything that I'm really hyped about either. It's kind of one of those neutral releases, you know, where you maybe smell it in passing at Sephora, Ulta, Macy's, wherever, and you think to yourself, that's nice. Maybe I'll come back to it in another day or something. It's one of those. If you smelled it, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And again, I'll link it in the description in case you are interested. Thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for your support. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.